Now, Connecticut's only all-weather show. This is First Alert Weather Extra.
A dangerous heat wave colliding with the 4th of July holiday. Nearly half of Americans across the country are facing prolonged extreme heat as they head outdoors to celebrate. Your reporter Maribel Gonzalez spoke to experts about how to stay safe in these conditions and how to spot if someone may need help.
We've always had heat waves. That's part of summer weather. But as climate changes decade by decade, those heat waves are getting more frequent and they're getting more intense.
The U.S. is experiencing a blast of punishing heat, particularly in the east, with millions facing record hot temperatures and high humidity. Experts say heat domes, that's stubborn areas of high pressure that locks hot air in place, are to blame and are now more intense due to climate change.
The reason it's warming is because we've been digging up and burning massive amounts of coal and gas and oil. And when we burn them, they produce heat-trapping gases that are building up in the atmosphere, wrapping an extra blanket around the planet.
The combination of high temperatures and humidity increase heat-related health risks.
Extreme heat doesn't always strike people as an emergency, but it is actually the #1 cause of weather-related fatalities in the U.S.
Heat-related illnesses can come on quick.
The things to look for are heat cramps, and that looks like heavy sweating and muscle fatigue. That's your body's sign that it needs a break.
Hydration and seeking cool shelter is key, even at night.
High humidity means that nighttime temperatures often don't drop as much as they would in a drier climate, so it's still dangerous.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
It is a scorcher in New York City. A triple-digit reading of 100 degrees was recorded in Central Park. That tied the high temp record for this date way back in 1966. The National Weather Service has more than 160 million Americans under either major or extreme heat risks through the rest of this week. The heat is also impacting some major airline operations. Delta alerting that it expects its operations to, from, or through New York's LaGuardia Airport to be affected by the heat. The airline is asking customers to frequently check their flight status and enable their phones for notification.